Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is your first time here. I decided that I was going to do some story time videos. I sat down and thought, what videos could I actually do? What can I talk about the people would actually be interested in hearing anything about? So I thought I would go back to my days of being a paranormal investigator to talk to you about that. You'll know by now that I am open to a lot of paranormal stuff, so obviously it wasn't a massive stretch for me really in the grand scheme of things to be a paranormal investigator, but it was something that I had been intrigued about, and years ago I actually wanted to write a book about the so-called haunted places in Northern Ireland and whether I believed in them, and I wanted to visit those places. So the more I thought about it and the more I talked about it with my friend Lynn, we kind of... my cat is trying to get into a box that this came in, so you can imagine how thin it is. But she's giving it a good go. Anyway, so we kind of decided that we would go and we would see what happened. So the first ever location that we went to, we actually first went to it during the day and took pictures so that we could... I had been to it before but Lynn hadn't, so rather than just take her in the dark, she'd not know where anything was, I thought, right, well, we'll go down, we'll sort of have a look around and see what we're looking for and where it would be best to do different things. So as I say, the first place we went to was St. Cooey's Wells, and if you're from Northern Ireland you'll most likely have heard of St. Cooey's Wells. Well, I say if you're from Northern Ireland, if you're from my neck of the woods and Ards Peninsula, North Down, that sort of area, most people know about it. Although I have to say I'm going to ramble here, but St. Cooey's Wells is basically a monk's graveyard. It's a place where there's pilgrimages and things like that, and as far as I know at Easter there's still a group of people that go to it and do whatever they do at these things. So anyway, it is a monk's graveyard and it is from like the 1400s I think. So you can imagine there's lots of people who have passed through there. So there is a bit in the middle, and I will try and get pictures. I'll try and get pictures from during the day and our investigations as well. But there is like a shrine and an altar at this place, and then off to one side is the graveyard. The jingling, by the way, is the cat. So anyway, we went down. We actually took a different friend with us the first night that we did it, and I'm not sure how open she was to a lot of the stuff. She seemed to be initially, but the more we got into it she wasn't really open, so she was only there with us on one ever investigation. And that first night I had done a lot of research. I had talked to different people about the things that we should do and how to protect ourselves as well. So I had prayers ready that we did before we left, once we got to the location, when we finished, when we got home. There was a lot that went into it. It wasn't something that I just blindly went in and just let whatever happen happen. So the first night was the most bizarre thing. I think we were just so hyped up on adrenaline, and it was very, very exciting and scary all rolled into one. And I remember as a teenager I was always terrified at St. Cooey's Wells, but that was a lot to do with people around us who would have tried to scare you, basically. So anyway, that night we did ask questions. I had again trawled the internet, sourced what types of questions that we should ask. So I went through a script of questions, recording it on, I think we borrowed a voice recorder from someone on the first night, but we did end up getting our own. And the first night was just okay. We got some mists and stuff, but I think once we sat down we could debunk some of them. What we thought was like this apparition forming was actually flashback from paper in the corner that you could just about make out if you really looked at the picture. So we tried other places, we went back, and we actually had some brilliant experiences at Coo's Wells. There was one night with our K2 meter, we were asking questions and it was flashing back in response to these questions. So it was a flash twice for yes and once for no, I think it was. Yeah, twice for yes and once for no, I think that's what it was. And we asked, was it male, was it female? And it flashed that it was male. We asked, was it an adult? And it flashed that it was an adult. We asked, was he alone? And he said no. We asked how many people were with him, and he flashed 9 times. And we asked his name and we got nothing. Because obviously while we were flashing, obviously we didn't expect the flashes to be the response, but we had a voice recorder at the same time and we had a video camera set up, and we did get a response, and neither of us could work out exactly what it said, but it was a very breathy response, and to me it sounded like, it's Jesus. Now obviously I don't believe that it was actually Jesus. What I believe is that somebody was joking with us, you know. And then all of a sudden, as quick as the flashes started, they stopped. So we moved on from there. We went to other locations, and I have to be honest, I think the most terrifying experience was at a duck pond in a nearby town. And when we went there, we actually took my brother with us. I'm not sure how much I really want to talk about the reason why, but basically someone we knew had actually hung themselves at the duck pond, and we had heard from people, once I'd started talking to people about doing paranormal stuff, they were like, oh, you should go here because there's a lot of stuff that happens here, and people talk about a female being there as well, but we just thought it was something that maybe we should do. So we went down with my brother anyway, and we were walking around taking pictures, asking questions, and we got some amazing pictures that night. And again, I'll pop those in for you guys to see. Some of the mists that we saw were awesome, and we tried to debunk them. My brother's a smoker, so he had a cigarette a couple of times during the night, so what we actually got him to do was to breathe out the smoke to show the difference between the mists that we were seeing and somebody smoking. And in fact, in one of the pictures that he puffs out, you can't even really see that puff, but yet there is mists all around. And at one stage we were sitting near the tree that our friend committed suicide at. We were sitting at a bench near that tree, and I have pictures of this as well. You can see me sitting with the voice recorder on my knee, and Lynn is she at the camera taking pictures, and Philip was standing beside her taking pictures as well, or did she have the video camera? I can't remember. But I was asking the questions and Lynn was taking videos and pictures and stuff, and at one stage she I think she cried out that her eyes were sore. Just all of a sudden she started getting really itchy, her eyes were streaming, she couldn't see anymore. She says, can we stop and sit down for a second? So in actual fact, she sat down beside me. I continued the pictures, I continued the questions, and Philip took the pictures. And you can actually see in these pictures, if you look, you can see like the mist all around me, and then when Lynn's sitting, like all the orbs and stuff that are around. And it wasn't raining, it wasn't a misty night, it was just an average night, but it was really, really bizarre. But we actually played back the voice recorder that night. I was listening back to me asking the questions, and at the stage where Lynn was taking the pictures of me with the mist around me, and this when she took that reaction, there's a really loud growl, and I will try and get that onto the computer so that I can put it in here as well. Are you playing with Lynn? Are you making my eyes itchy and watery? Is this your way of letting us know that someone's with us? And I have to say that was really scary, because you get the growl, you get the attack that happened to her. That's, I mean, that's the only thing I can say that it was. She was attacked. It was terrifying whenever I realised, you know, that actually, to me, that wasn't a person, that wasn't a human spirit. To me, that was a demon that was attacking her because we were aggravating him. So that was the last time that we were there, but it had got to the stage at home. And from my previous My House is Haunted video, you will know this, but a lot of things were going on that my husband wasn't happy about, and he did actually ask me to stop because he was afraid of what was going to happen, and he was afraid of it getting worse, because he felt like I was bringing the darkness home with me from these locations that we went to. And to be honest with you, since we stopped doing that, the activity in the house has calmed down. Now we still get some things happening, but it's not like it was at that stage. So I think we did the right thing. And I guess the moral of this story time is probably, don't take things like that lightly. I mean, it was something I did take it very seriously. It wasn't something that I just did for fun. It was something that I was really fascinated in, and I don't really know what I wanted the outcome to be. I think at the start, you know, I wanted to be able to be one of these people that helped, you know, lost souls, but I don't know. It's a very, very bizarre thing, because now I just feel it's not something that we should be doing. It's not something that we should mess with, and I think it's absolutely terrifying. And people did say to me at the time, you know, why don't you do something in your house if you think stuff is happening? And I was like, no. I don't want to open up the doors to even more stuff happening in my house. I want to make sure that if I'm doing things like that, that it's outside. And there's no way that I want to bring stuff into my house and open up the gates to goodness knows what. Yeah. And even whenever I worked, my last salon that I had, there was a lot of stuff happened over there. I asked the girls that worked there, would they be against me doing something there? And one night whenever we were all closed up, I did take pictures, because a lot of stuff was happening, and one of the girls that worked there was actually having stuff happen on her way home. And then once she got home, it was fine. It was as if it was sort of following her in her car and coming back with her. That's the only way she could describe it. But it got to the stage where we actually prayed together before she left to go home, and I prayed over the car with her and things, because she was getting terrified, and she was terrified coming into work because she didn't know what was going to happen. So that's why I did it there, because it was quite a lot was going on there, and it's been a wee bit mad. But it is something that I mean, it's not something that anyone could do, because I think you have to firstly have an open mind, but it's something that can be absolutely terrifying. From that experience, you know, at the duck pond, whenever we got home and realised just what had attacked her, that absolutely terrified me. And I mean, even the things that were happening at home and stuff, just, it was a lot. It really was a lot, and I don't think that it's definitely not for the faint of heart. I'll tell you that much. And I can't say that I would never do it again, but it's definitely not something that's on the cards. And I've watched a lot of those different shows, and one that sticks in my head is Ghost Adventures. And if you see the darkness that has followed those guys around, and Nick is not Nick. Is it Nick? Is Nick the one that left? Yeah, Nick. Oh, my memory is shot. The one that left anyway. I mean, he and his wife both talked about how dark he was and how much he brought home and the things that affected him. And even Zach Bagans himself, he has talked about it in his books, about how much of the darkness they brought home. And I think that's something for me. When my husband specifically asked me to stop because he was afraid of what I was bringing home, that's when I realised, you know, this isn't something that I can do, because unless he is 100% with it, then it's not fair on him, because he didn't sign up to this. So, I mean, if I can tell anybody any advice on this here, is make sure that people around you are okay with you doing it, because things that you don't realise are happening could be happening to other people because of you, and that is something that you have to be very, very wary of. Paranormal stuff is not to be sniffed at. It's very serious. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section below what's the craziest thing you've done in your life. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.